Welcome, everybody, to Mom Street USA. My name is Jackie, aka Wishes Mama, and I am joined for this hub episode by our good friends Duck and Jess, aka Beanie Duck. And you have found part 3 of our Universal series that we have been slowly making our way through, kind of sporadically a little bit, but that's okay. So, parts 1 and 2, we talked about an overview of Universal, and then we talked a lot about resorts and tickets. So, for part 3 today, we are going to be discussing special events. And we are also going to be talking a little bit about Volcano Bay, just because we wanted to make sure that we did cover that for you guys, because we did have some questions and some comments about that kind of in our earlier episodes. So that is the plan for today. Duck and Jess, how are you guys doing today?
Doing good.
Doing great.
Very excited to talk about the various Universal events. There's a lot of really exciting stuff that they do that can be similar at times to our other favorite park, Disney. But they also do a lot of different things just because of what space they have to offer and the IPs that they own. So I'm excited. Yeah, this will be fun.
Yes, Duck is also very excited because we get to let them talk about Halloween Horror Nights here very shortly in a little bit. So, but before we do that, we do have some other events that we're going to talk about first. That's going to be kind of our grand finale of events when we get to Halloween Horror Nights. So, I intentionally put it there in the notes that way we could get through everything else before we give Duck a little bit of leash to talk about, and Jess too, because I know Jess, you also enjoy Halloween Horror Nights as well. So, okay, where are we starting tonight?
Okay, so I think we're going to start at the latest addition to Universal, which would be the Wicked The Experience. Now, before we start talking about anything, I do just want to give a disclaimer. We are recording this in the year 2025.
Right.
So should you be in the distant future listening to this, or even like honestly 6 months from now, there might have been something new introduced. Universal can sometimes just be like, hey, this is a thing that we've been thinking about. And it goes on sale next week and it happens next month, right? Like it's not super uncommon for them to do like last minute additions into the lineup where they feel maybe there's like a gap in their, I'll call them quote unquote festivals or events. So it's not shocking that they might just add something in this lineup, or something may in the future be removed depending on updates to parks. So this is what we have as it currently stands. Most of these are staples, but some of them are subject to change. So just want to throw the disclaimer out there.
Yeah, and I don't anticipate a bunch of like events at Epic Universe, but I think they're going to do something for holiday time, right? So like we may get something spooky Halloween from them, even if it's just some decorations and some special treats or whatever. And I anticipate we'll get something holiday Christmas related over at that park. We just don't know I don't anticipate it being a very large event for the first couple years at least.
Can
You said Christmas Wolf, man.
How did you know that's what I was going to say? I was going to say, but may I propose a Wolfman in a Santa hat? I'm so mad that you knew that's what I was going to say.
I love this. And that would be amazing. And I'm just envisioning like the whole monsters area like Christmas-fied and like decked out in like random wreaths, very like a la Nightmare Before Christmas vibe kind of.
For Christmas.
Like,
I'm here for it.
hey, you never know. Universal, if you're listening, hello, hi, welcome. We would love that. That would be super fun. Okay, thanks, bye. It's good. Okay, anyway, let's talk about actual events that we actually know are going to
be happening. Yes, like Wicked the Experience.
Perfect. Let's hear about it.
All right, so Universal describes this as a magically immersive experience, I can't speak today, with enchanting film costume replicas, Alphabet and Glinda themed photo ops, bewitching merch, and more. So this is inside of Universal Studios Florida, and it is included with the cost of admission. So if you are familiar with the park, this is in what used to be the Hello Kitty merchandise store. They kind of revamped it. I know, I was so sad to see it go.
It needed an update, I will admit.
It did. But so they have replaced it for the time being with the Wicked Experience. So there are film, costume, and prop replicas, and themed photo ops that you can see throughout the experience. So the store is kind of loosely split into like a Glinda side and an Alphabet side, and is organized into different scenes from the movie, that So the props and the costumes are in their respective scenes from the movie. So, for example, there's a Shiz University area with Madame Morrible's costume, as well as the first dress that we see Glinda in. And then in another section, it's themed to the Ozdust ballroom scene. And then the Dancing Through Life costumes are in there. So there are photo ops that let you kind of create those moments from the film, which is super cool. And then dotted throughout the experience, of course, there's a lot of merch. Always have to have the merch. So there is some cool pieces. Some things are exclusive to the park and this experience. And there really is something for everybody and all budgets. You know, mugs, pins, spirit jerseys, t-shirts. If you can think of it, there probably is something there themed to Glinda or Elphaba. Um, there are exclusive treats as well at this experience. So Emerald City Eats is located right outside of the store, and they have some exclusive drinks and snacks that are Wicked themed. So there's the food, there are mocktails and soft drinks. And then, so this is like a limited time event, but we really don't have a set end date. And especially with Wicked for Good releasing later this year, this will probably be sticking around for quite a while. And maybe it'll get an update, once the second movie comes out. So we'll just have to kind of wait and see what happens.
I would love to see them, like, just sort of redo and shift things and add
Right.
the part 2 stuff in there. I think that would be fun to see.
It would be cool.
I think it's also very doable. Excuse me, because if you look up photos online, certain areas are clearly the theming is put together in such a way that it will be easy for them to swap out a couple
Right.
signs, a couple costumes, and suddenly it's this new, I don't want to spoil anything for anybody who hasn't seen Wicked or doesn't know the story.
Right.
Suddenly it's this new, section that maybe we haven't seen before, or they could update a section to reflect some of the events that may happen in For Good. So yeah, I think that would be a really cool opportunity for them to keep this updated as the next movie comes out.
Yeah, I think that would be cool. Before we jump to our next thing, I do just want to mention you guys heard Jess talk about that this is included with your cost of admission. So you're going to hear that both ways tonight as we talk about some of these different events. Some of them are going to be special ticketed events that you have to buy a separate ticket for. A lot of this, honestly, with Universal is included in your price of admission. It just happens to be seasonal or a limited time offering or whatever that may be. But you will hear us talk about that pretty much with everything with all these events, just to kind of clarify, because I know it gets confusing, especially with stuff at Disney too,
Mhm.
what festivals are included, what events are not, so trying to keep that clear for you guys with all this Universal stuff.
Yeah, I think the easiest comparison is festivals for Disney versus an after hours event, right? So when we say it's included, think of it like a festival. There are things just happening in the park.
Yep.
Should you want to experience them, you can participate. And when we say that it's a separately ticketed event, think of that like an after hours where you're going. It's a different ticket. It is something that is purchased separately outside of your park admission.
Yes. Very well said. Thank you. Perfect. Let's move on to our next event that we are going to be talking about, which is butterbeer season. And this is something that, as we're recording this, is currently coming to a very sad end. I think a lot of people really enjoy this time of year at the park. So this is just a celebration of all things butterbeer. So if you're unfamiliar with butterbeer, it is a treat that is frequently mentioned and highlighted in the Harry Potter universe. Books, movies, all that type of thing. So,
PEU, the Harry Potter Extended Universe, if you will.
oh, look at you all with these official terminologies and everything.
Well,
Um,
I know an acronym.
I should have used you on my last episode when I was talking about Disney abbreviations and acronyms. I should have known. I should have
Should have
known.
phoned a friend.
So with this butterbeer season, Universal has slowly been introducing new butterbeer treats. So butterbeer has been around in the parks for a while, over at Universal, but when they originally introduced it, it was only in the cold form, or colder, aka the frozen form, right? They have now added a very popular hot option a few years after that, and then since then they've introduced a lot more themed food that is butterbeer flavored, soft serve, fudge, ice lollies, those types of things that you'll find in the parks. So this takes place in the Harry Potter areas of Iowa and USF. So we'll talk more about it in the next episode of our Universal Universal series, but there are 2 different Harry Potter areas in those parks. One is located on the Islands of Adventure side, and one is located on the Universal Studios side. So it does take place in both sides. Running from March 1st through May 31st is when you will find that typically. And that's pretty standard for this time of year. This is a fairly newer event because I think the popularity of butterbeer has just kind of exponentially grown since it's been introduced in the parks, so they kind of capitalized on that. This is one of those festival things that is included in the cost of your admission. So some other different limited time treats and merch that are inspired by butterbeer, the iconic drink of the Harry Potter, what did you call it? The Harry Potter
Universe.
extended universe, yes. Butterbeer cream puffs, butterbeer flavored chocolate bars, which is interesting because you get butterbeer and chocolate in that, which is yeah, okay. Butterbeer ice lolly, butterbeer caramel or caramel, depending on your preference. Butterbeer flavored gummies, all sorts of stuff. So it's possible that some of these menu items, were introduced initially at these special events, but then have gone on to become kind of permanent offerings in the parks. So you never know if something's super popular, they may offer more of these year round instead of just during butterbeer season. But we'll have to wait and see what they decide to do with that. And
So
then
if you really like something, buy 40 of it.
that's true.
Show them you really like it.
Yes, that's true. There is also exclusive butterbeer merchandise that you can find during this time of year. Hats, shirts, mugs, pins, some really cute socks apparently that they've got going on there.
Cool.
Hey, it's like Jess said, when you get these events, you got to have the merch to go with it. So, and just a note for anyone who's listening that is a new pass holder or a seasoned pass holder, a reminder that your premier level gets 15% off, which is nice, and the preferred level gets 10% off when it comes to all of your butterbeer choosings and needs and wants. And we do have a really good question in our live chat here from Vinny. Vinny is asking, what does butterbeer taste like?
Butterscotch is the closest
Yeah.
equivalent that I can give.
Like a sweeter butterscotch.
Yeah, so butterscotch, like, I don't know if anybody remembers, Starbucks used to have a smoked butterscotch syrup a couple years ago. It is very similar to that if you like dial down the smokiness and push up the sweetness. Like but it's really close in flavor profile to that. So I'm not a butterscotch person, but I just enjoys the butterbeer, so I will steal a sip or two. Like even I can enjoy
We'll
it.
split one.
Yeah.
Because it is very sweet. So after a while, it's kind of like, okay, I'm done with it. But I mean, if you really like sweet things, you'll love it.
Yeah.
Um,
I must add an addendum though. We have not tried the ice cream, which people say is really good. We've had the hot butterbeer and the cold and the frozen.
Okay.
So yeah. So we haven't had like the other flavored treats of it. So the form of it may change it a little bit, but
Right.
essentially it's butterscotch.
Yeah. I've tried just the standard cold option years and years ago when I went to Universal. And then I know that our good friend Kirk at Walrus Carp is like obsessed with those butterbeer lollies, like ice lollies. He's obsessed with those. So
that's his preferred treat. Yeah.
Yes. And he's like been very vocal about being sad that it's almost the end of butterbeer season.
Yeah.
So there you go. That's what it tastes like to the best of our descriptive abilities. So
yeah.
yes, and that in a nutshell is butterbeer season. So again, it is winding to a close here this year, but is an annual thing. So mark your calendar.
I was gonna say, so if you really like butterbeer, maybe plan a trip for next year. Maybe this is the thing to take off the calendar. You never know.
I love it. All right, what event do we have next, Duck?
So we have the holidays at Universal, which is big overarching capital H holidays TM. So this is, of course, celebrating the holiday season with your favorite Universal characters. So this is running from November 21st through December 31st this year. So think about it from Thanksgiving until the end of the year. That's roughly when it runs. So this is something that, much like Disney does, is resort-wide. So you will find decorations in your hotels. You'll see the parks all decorated. There's wreaths and trees, and it is very Christmas-centered. So just for everyone's awareness, this is like a very Christmas centered decoration run that they are on. But the decorations for the hotels are themed to whatever that location is. Like I said, much like Disney does, where their trees will be themed. So I saw this really fun picture of the Hard Rock tree that has like rock and roll ornaments on it.
Love that.
And it was like a bunch of mini guitars. Like, it was really cute. So they really lean into the theming of their individual resorts.
Total plug
yeah.
here. If you want to know more about the resorts, check out part 2 of our Universal series because we went over all of them.
In more information than anyone probably could ever need. But I feel strongly that the more information that you can have, the better, because everyone needs to make an informed decision. Vacations are expensive. So
True.
if you're spending the money, you better know what you're getting.
Yes. So if you want to know more about those themings and what you may come across with those themes when it comes to the holiday times, check out part 2 of this series. Okay, continue, Deck.
Yes, no, good plug. Appreciate it. I'm terrible at promoting our own stuff, so good job. I appreciate it. So one thing that I actually, just to talking more a little bit about the resorts and their offerings for the holidays, I don't really see people talk much about the resort offerings. They're a little maybe lesser than some other other theme parks in the area, we shall say. But there are special Christmas Day brunches / buffets at the Signature Collection, which is like the higher end ones. So like Portofino Bay, Hard Rock, Sapphire Falls, etc. So that's available. That does sell out very quickly. So if you are going during Christmas time and that's something that interests you, make sure that you're able to book well in advance. And excuse me, the mid-tier resorts, so Cabana Bay, Adventura, and Endless Summer, also often have special holiday meal deals. So this could be around Thanksgiving weekend. This could be, throughout the Christmas week, like whatever it is. It kind of changes from year to year. I think they were just piloting it the last couple of years. So if that's something that you're interested in, like you're staying at one of those resorts and you think that might be a good fit for you, just keep an eye out because those deals will probably start coming out towards the end of the summer.
Mm-hmm. And hopefully more information. It was very hard to find like details on like what kind of food is offered and stuff like that. So I don't know how much it changes from year to year, but
Yeah, like I said, this is not super discussed. So even like from like vloggers and bloggers, it was really hard to find any information. Understandable. It's just not the
Right.
focus of the holiday celebration. Like,
Right.
you're probably not going to stay there specifically because you can get a meal deal, but
Right.
like, it is available. And I would be remiss if we didn't bring it up when we were talking about the holidays.
Well, and I think too, people also forget that like Disney does that somewhat too. Like if you're at Disney on Thanksgiving, you can order like a traditional Thanksgiving meal. So like
Right.
there are some things similar to that Disney does. This is a little bit more like organized reservation type over at the Universal side than what you'll find at Disney, because even at Disney like quick service, you can order that kind of stuff at the resorts and everything. But it is a kind of a commonality that is, I think, at both places not discussed enough, that they have those options for families that are looking for it.
Yeah, I completely agree. I do wish that there was a little bit more focus on some of those offerings because it is difficult as a family when you're trying to make those plans, especially if you're planning on going on a holiday.
Right.
You may not want to be in the park that day, but then what else
you
do you
do.
do, right? Like, what are we
Right.
gonna do for food? So I wish that there was more available information readily available.
Yeah.
Not just from secondhand information like bloggers and such, but directly from Universal and or Disney. So yes, should anybody be listening, a little more info on the website would be much appreciated. Truly.
For sure. All right. What else can we find during the holiday time over at Universal?
So to talk about some of the the section that we titled it is exclusive offerings, which is very fitting. And the most important offering that you can ever get in a theme park is your treats, right? Everyone loves a snack. So now these can change from year to year, of course. So if you look up a previous year's menu, don't get too attached. You may get disappointed. There are some staples, don't get me wrong. So like the gingerbread man from Shrek and his gumdrop buttons have appeared as a treat.
The gumdrop
The
buttons.
gumdrop buttons.
I like that.
It's so good, right? So that has been a staple. There's this the pistachio cream wreath is one that comes back every year that people totally rave about. I've heard a lot of people say that that's like one of the best holiday treats that you can get in Universal if you like pistachio. And there's like this adorable snowman cookie, which is like an Oreo with like some white chocolate on top, and he's got like little coal eyes, which are little like pieces of chocolate. It's really cute. So though, like a couple of the things you can probably get a feel for what was probably popular enough for them to bring back, but there is always a chance that, it just may not work out that particular year. So, like I said, probably mid to late summer, some of the holiday information will start coming out. Maybe not menus, but we can get it. We can get a sense as the year goes on what will and won't be available.
Yeah, it drives me bonkers that these theme parks don't put their menus out until like right before things are happening. And it's
Yeah.
like,
Uh-huh.
I would like to plan, please. I would like to know
what
what
makes
I'm looking at and what my options are before I plan my trip, please.
Yeah.
I need to plan my sweet treats.
And
Right, literally.
and it's getting close. I feel like it's getting closer and closer
Mhm.
every year, right?
Mhm.
Like for a while, like maybe it was pre-COVID, they were like 2 months out, they were telling you every piece of information that they could get. And now it feels like the next day, the festival or whatever's going to happen, and they're like, we don't really have a menu, actually. Just show
Right.
up and see what's
Good luck.
there. Yeah.
Right. Literally. And I'm like, can we not, as the type A planner that I am, like, can we not do that, please? This is driving me nuts.
Yeah. Like you
Right.
said, I need to plan my sweet treats.
Yes.
Like,
Well, because you can't have too many in one day. So you
Yeah,
got to be able to spread them
exactly.
out. You have
Yeah.
to know what you can get on what day.
right. You
And-
need to know which ones do I prioritize, right?
Right.
If I only have X amount of treats, which ones do I get?
Right. And I need to know their location relative to things, right? Because
Right.
if it's right in front of this roller coaster that I'm going to ride, well, then I'll just go ride the coaster and come back. But if it's across the park, maybe I don't get that sweet treat. Maybe I swap it in for something else. But I
Right.
need the information.
Mhm.
And it's like
Yes.
they're allergic to giving us information.
So rude.
It is. How dare. Okay. Okay. To bring it back to topic.
Reel it
Back to more, because I'll talk about sweet treats all day if you'll let me. But back to seasonal offerings. So of course the other thing is merch, right? Like we've said before, all of pretty much everything we're going to talk about tonight does have some form or fashion of merch options. Of course they're going to have like the really popular things, like Harry Potter has a ton of merch every year, Shrek, the Minions, right? Like think about their biggest franchises that you typically would see in the park, and they're definitely Jurassic Park always has like holiday merch, like usually a holiday spirit jersey
I love
of
that.
some sort. So it's hard to say if it's because they don't typically bring pieces back unless they were extraordinarily popular.
Right.
Like not to jump the gun and talk about HHN, but Little Boo, which is the little pumpkin character. I'll bring the popcorn bucket out when it's time. Yeah, that guy. Um, so there was like a few pieces of merch with him that were exceptionally popular, and they brought them back. But that is the exception, not the rule. Almost
Right.
never do they redo merch the next year. But you can absolutely bet that there's going to be a variety: pins, hats, backpacks, spirit jerseys, sweatshirts, anything and everything. They will absolutely have it. So you will find something. It's just a matter of looking through the gift shops. That's all. And one more thing that's the special seasonal offering is the photo ops. So they will have, much like Disney, they will have Christmas themed photo ops or holiday themed photo ops in some cases. The big one that everyone, I mean, we'll talk about the big one, but the big one that we're the second biggest one maybe is Earl the Squirrel, which is a squirrel with a lumberjack uniform on and like the little just red and black buffalo checked hat, and everyone goes crazy to meet Earl the Squirrel. So he always has a meet and greet of some kind. Not every character will be in holiday garb. So like typically like the Scooby-Doo gang isn't. But like someone like Gru from the Minions, he had on like a holiday scarf last year for his meet and greet. So sometimes it's little touches, sometimes it's a whole exclusive character, and sometimes there's nothing. So if you're unsure, because again, this could change from year to year. Maybe they're gonna throw a Santa hat on Shaggy or something for next year. If you're unsure, your best bet is to check the app, and if that's not clear, ask a team member because they are absolutely super helpful and they will know the most information up to date.
Now, I will mention, because several of our viewers may not know or be familiar with Earl the Squirrel, but I don't know his complete origin, but he was an original character created for Universal Parks, correct?
That is correct, yes.
So it's okay if you don't know who he is. Do a quick Google search. He is an adorable little squirrel that has become kind of this obscure mascot to Universal, kind of akin to like a Orange Bird or a Buzz
I
the
was literally
Bee
just gonna
over.
say.
Yeah, over at Epcot, where it's like they do have an origin and they were created for the park for, or they're featured in the parks a lot. Orange Bird was created for the parks. That's a whole nother story. But do a quick Google search on Earl the Squirrel because he is adorable and I feel like he doesn't get enough coverage.
As an Earl the Squirrel fan, completely agree. I just love weird, obscure little guys.
Yeah.
You know?
It's
I'm
true.
so glad Orange Bird is getting the love that he deserves, and I want Earl the Squirrel to have that same treatment. I want Earl the Squirrel to suddenly show up on every piece of merch. That's all that I want, just to have a surprise resurgence of Earl.
That would be pretty fabulous, not gonna lie. Not gonna lie.
The other big thing one of the other big things that's the feature and is really loved by Universal fans is this has an official name, the Universal's Holiday Parade featuring Macy's. Everyone just calls it the Macy's Parade.
Yep.
It's fine. It's not the end of the world, but I did, again, we all know I'm a stickler for technicalities of names. If you missed that, go back and listen to episode 1. There it is. I did the plug. Thank you. But yes, so this is basically a smaller-ish version of the Macy's Day Parade, right? It's not exactly the same balloons, but it's the same idea, where there are entertainers and gigantic balloons and floats going through Universal Studios Florida Park, and it is really, everybody that has seen it always talks about it forever. It is one of the best parades, not just at Universal, but like in Florida theme parks, maybe even in theme parks in general. It is really beloved. They do a great job with it. And it's featuring their IP, right? So you see like there's a Shrek float famously. There's, I think this year or maybe last year, they added one of the penguins, maybe it was Kowalski from Madagascar. That was like a big hit. There's Despicable Me, balloons, like anything and everything. And of course at the end, it's trailed by Santa because no Macy's parade is complete without Santa at the end ringing in the holiday season. So yeah, I mean, everybody who has seen it we have not had the chance to, but we know plenty of friends, and even if you just check online, like the comments are always so positive about this, and that like if you have kiddos who enjoy a parade, this is a must do while you're in Universal.
I love a good parade.
Yeah, parades are fun. They're great.
Yes. All right. What else can we find at the holidays? Like we said, this is kind of an overarching event with several little events featured in there. So what else do we have?
So if you want to think about it like that was the big umbrella, like there's the resorts, everything's all decorated. We were at Universal Studios Florida, and now we are just across the bay at Islands of Adventure for what social media has just gone absolutely bonkers
It's
for.
so true.
Grinchmas. This is, if you've seen anything related to the holidays and Universal, you have seen Grinchmas. You've seen the decorations, you've seen the meet and greet, you've seen the hours-long wait. Like, it's people go
Footage of the Grinch.
Yeah.
He looks like he's having so much fun.
It's intense. It's great.
Yes. So, like we were just alluding to, the biggest thing within this biggest event is the Grinch meet and greet. They really give the friend of the Grinch, I don't know what we call it at Universal, so
Sure. We'll go with that.
We really give the Grinch a lot of leeway to really play around with being the Grinch, to really lean into it, to get sassy, to take funny pictures as long as the Grinch is comfortable, right? Like really play it up. It is an unhinged is the word you use, which I think is a good way to put it. An unhinged meet and greet that is fantastically popular. It is unbelievable. The wait can get up to and over 4 hours.
Right.
So to just give everyone an idea, that's crazy.
That's literally insane.
That's literally insane. I think the longest meet and greet lines that we have seen, not for like a brand new character at Disney, but the longest meet and greet that we typically see is Jack and Sally at the Mickey Not So Scary Halloween party. That can be like 2 hours. Usually, I think that's the highest that we've seen it go in when we've done Mickey's Not So Scary. So for the fact that it can be up to double it, and people will wait. Is sheerly bonkers. So if this is something that you are super interested in, try to get there early, try to do it. Or
There is only a standby queue, so you definitely have to make sure that if that is your priority, you are dedicating time.
yes,
Yes.
you have to maybe consider the possibility that half your park day will be spent meeting the Grinch.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like a very real possibility.
Right. And make sure you plan to go there early because they will cut that line.
Oh,
So
absolutely. We when we went briefly to Universal in November last year, year before, we had almost just gotten in the park. Like it was maybe, I don't know, say it was 10 a.m. and they had already capped the line for the day.
right.
Like
Because he does not meet park open to park close.
Nope.
So it's usually like a 10 to 4 type of deal or something like that. Again, all that information when we get closer to the holidays will all be released, but that we can just kind of speculate, right, as of now. So yeah, they will cut that line off very early once those weights get up that high. So definitely go there, plan to rope drop it, plan to be there all day long.
Now, if you don't want to wait 4 hours, but you still want to meet the Grinch, there is an alternative. There is the Grinch character breakfast,
Yes.
which is what it sounds like. You're having breakfast with the Grinch and friends at Circus McGurkus, which is maybe my favorite name of anything ever.
I love it.
I love how everything's named in Seuss Landing. It's incredible. But it is exactly what it sounds like. You are having a character breakfast at Circus McGurkus. Reservations are required, and they go fast.
Yes.
So keep an eye on, if this is like a possible alternative for you, just make sure you're keeping an eye on socials. Maybe put those notifications on for posts on like Instagram and all those other miscellaneous socials, right? You got to keep on top of things because they will announce it, but it goes fast.
Right.
So just to give you some other information on what else other than a stressful reservation.
Right.
So this is just, it's breakfast foods, right? They're generally themed, right? You get there's like green eggs and ham, and there's Grinch pancakes and things like that. They do have a kids menu. They do also have vegan and gluten sensitive options. We'll talk more in a future episode about food at Universal, so I won't go too much into the usual menu availability. We're just going to talk about Universal forever. I hope that's fine with everyone. But I did say it was Grinch and friends. So some of these friends include Sam I Am, Cindy Lou Who, Lulu Who, and Martha May Who. So lots of
Which one
Who's
is
as well as-
Lulu?
The sister, I think Lulu is
a father.
is that true?
Lou.
Well, his name is Lou. I'm not
I don't
sure,
know.
but it's Lulu. I don't know. Unclear. There is many different Who's that you may or may not meet. And Sam
Lulu
Yes, so there's I will just assortment of Who's. That's it.
Sure, your assortment here.
Yes.
Of
Here you go. Here are your Who's. So the assortment of Who's. We are losing it.
we got a long way to go too. Oh boy.
Oh, we are doing the thing. So now the assortment of Who's as well as Sam I Am generally work like a traditional like character breakfast, right? You're sitting, you're eating, they'll walk around, you can kind of go grab them for pictures if they're in between tables, they'll come over to you, right? Like very traditional when you think of a character breakfast. The Grinch is slightly different. So everyone gets a little postcard welcoming them or telling them to go away, really, from the Grinch. And that serves as your ticket to go meet the Grinch. So you can meet him while you are, like, during the breakfast time period. And you just walk up, you give them your ticket, you get in line. And those waits are generally, I saw, like, between 10 and 20 minutes, which is slightly shorter than 4 hours.
Just a little.
But just a touch. You're still gonna have to bring like lots of snacks and games to entertain everyone. Like it's tough,
be
but
hard.
but it will be worth it. So yeah, so that's he's meeting in the exact same place that his typical meet and greet would happen, but this happens before what would be his little shift at the standby queue, you know? So it is the same experience. It's the same photo op, it's the same area. It is just a significantly shorter wait. You get breakfast, and there are other characters that you can meet. So that is a very viable option. However, like I said, it's a really difficult reservation to get. So just, hedge your bets and make your plans as best as you can. Okay, so still in the vein of miscellaneous Who's and the Grinch, there is also within Grinchmas the Holiday Spectacular Show. And this is essentially the Grinch's stage show. It goes through the Grinch's story and his antics, and it's again another very popular show. This is first come first serve seating, but it's a fairly large theater. If anybody has been to Universal before, it is a repurpose of the Blue Man Group's theater, so it's a fairly large theater. And they do a couple shows a day. Again, I hate to do this, but check the app when as we get closer, they will have show times. I think they did 3 shows a day last year that may be bumped up or down depending on time frame, right? Weekends, weekdays.
Right.
So as you're planning your trip and you get a little bit closer, just keep an eye on the app or on the website, and they will tell you if they're running more or less or what the show schedule will be. So generally get there like between 20 and 45 minutes early, depending on how busy the park itself is. And of course, as you get closer to Christmas, it will be even more busy. So maybe a little more than 45 minutes. And a pro tip, if you have anyone in your family that really loves dogs, try to sit on the front right-hand side. Not to spoil anything.
No spoilers, but it's so
cute. No spoilers, but there's a puppy. There's a very, very good puppy. So throw that out there.
The goodest puppy in all of Universal.
So good.
So cute.
My friend. But yeah, so if you have any particular pup lovers, like we all are, as you just heard by the gushing, a good idea to try to get there a touch early and sit in that front right-hand side.
Is that right hand as you're looking at the stage?
Yes.
Or right hand as you're, okay.
So it's your right, not stage right.
Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Just making sure that everybody is clear. It's a very important detail.
It absolutely is. When you are looking and there is a large chair, it's that side.
Perfect.
That's the easiest direction to give.
Love it. Love it.
So we're almost wrapped up with our holiday discussion here. But we would be so remiss if we didn't talk about food and drink, right? So like we said earlier, these can change depending on availability, what have you. But there have been a couple of popular ones that seem to come back year after year. Things like a 2 sizes too small cupcake, which is adorable. There's cookies, a Grinch donut, and the Grinch heart lemonade. I'm not sure what's in it, but people love it. I suspect it's something Sprite adjacent, but it's very popular. So that is Grinchmas. I think that covers it.
It's a lot. It's adorable. It's super fun. It's a really great event. And like Duck mentioned, that whole, if you know the Seuss area, it's already lovely and themed and wonderful. But then to add all of the Grinchmas stuff and all of the decorations is just like top notch.
It's a very whimsical.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. I think that's the word that I would use for it. And it gets more whimsical at Christmas. They do a really good job with this. Not that the rest of the park isn't well themed, but I think that this lends itself to a holiday theme very well.
Yes. Way better than any of the areas in Disney. Disney does a terrible job in their theme parks of decorating. Like they get the big tree and like you get some wreaths on Main Street and then that's about it. And it's like,
yeah.
So
you could do more. I know you could. And I want more for you because I love you so much, Disney. I want more from you because you can do it. I know you can.
Right. So this is definitely if you've got littles that you're looking for a really fun Christmas area and you're visiting during that time of year, Seuss Landing is pretty top notch for that.
Yeah. Agreed.
Perfect. Well, let's talk about something adjacent but different. Let's talk about Christmas time in the wizarding world of Harry Potter. So this is, again, during the holiday time, similar time frame to everything that Duck was just talking about with the holidays. This does happen on both sides. Again, talked about that earlier with Butterbeer season. So Hogsmeade and Diagon Alley are both dressed up with lots of Christmas decor, resembling more of the European Christmas market. So you're going to see things a little bit different from what the traditional American way is to celebrate the holidays. some exclusive things that they have to offer. They have some of their shows include a holiday twist now. So there's lots of live performances that happen in the Harry Potter areas. But for example, in Diagon Alley, they have, I'm going to say this wrong, Celestina, right?
You did it.
Mhm.
You crushed it.
Celestina Warbeck and the Banshees, which is one of their live performances that they have. They perform their holiday spectacular set list. So they have a little bit of fun Christmas and holiday flavor to that. And then the Frog Choir at Hogsmeade, which is so fun to see. They also have a holiday inspired show as well. The one big draw of the Harry Potter Christmas time and holiday spectacular festivities that they have is the nighttime light show on a Hogwarts castle. This is one of the most covered and videoed and posted about on social media events that happen in this space. So the Magic of Christmas at Hogwarts features projections on the Hogwarts castle with a Christmas theme. So they've got caroling ghosts, the Hogsmeade snowman, they've got a magical Christmas tree, and some different scenes from the Yule Ball, which is a whole scene in the fourth movie of Harry Potter.
That sounds true.
You're like, sure.
I can't count, so yes.
Yeah. Like,
it's-
that's fourth. Yes.
Does it put your name in the goblet of fire?
Yeah, that exactly.
Yeah, that one. And it's all choreographed to music from the movies, which, if you're familiar with the soundtrack to those movies, has some lovely Christmas time and winter time, very iconic songs and scenes. So that is definitely a huge draw to that area during the Christmas season.
And I think that kind of covers
Yeah.
the holidays at Universal. So moving on to, I guess, chronologically, the next event that would happen is Mardi Gras. So this is another super popular, very well loved event at Universal. Their Mardi Gras celebration features a lot of different food and music, and most importantly, a Mardi Gras parade. Where you can catch beads just like you're in New Orleans. So this takes place at USF, and it takes place typically in the springtime. So early February. Mardi Gras, like the timing depends on when like the actual Mardi Gras like time falls. So it is included in the cost of admission. So there are concerts, and the concerts are usually like single night events, unlike when Disney has the Eat to the Beat during Food and Wine Festival, and it's, you know, the bands will or acts will kind of have a small residency that they do.
A residency
This is a great way to put it. This is a little different. It's just a one night show, and then that's the end. Some highlights from last year's concert series included T-Pain, Joe Jonas, Kool and the Gang, and Foster the People, which is a very random mix of musicians. So like something for everybody, I guess.
Yeah, much like Eat to the Beat, where they have like quite an eclectic group, there's definitely something for everyone there. That's 100% true.
And the concerts are super popular.
Yep.
Like
Yeah.
the Joe Jonas one this past year, I think people started lining up at like 8 a.m.
Yeah.
for like an 8 p.m., 9 p.m. concert. So like,
Mhm.
again, it's one of those all day things.
Yeah.
Be prepared. Unless you're fine with being in the back, like us.
Right.
Because
Right.
we're old and we can't
Yes.
do like we spent probably 15 years doing barricade for concerts. I can't do it anymore.
The back
I-
want me.
I'm in the back. I'm rocking by the bar, sipping my little cocktail, just having a good time. Right.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at now.
Yeah.
But the big thing about those concerts is the concerts are also included with
Yes.
the cost of admission. So people are buying park tickets and then getting front row to see acts like Joe Jonas and,
Yes.
you know, some of those other big names that come. So the concerts are extremely popular, especially to all of the pass holders and locals, because it's included with their pass. They don't
Yep.
have to
Right.
buy a separate ticket or anything for it. And there's no way to. You know, Disney has some of those dining deals with their concerts where you can kind of get like reserved seating. Universal doesn't have any of that. So it's literally just first come, first serve in the standby area. And they will have gates and, you know, it all blocked off for people to wait because it's a whole thing.
And it seems like they have, no, I mean, knock on wood, they could announce it tomorrow, but From what I have seen discussed online and in like various interviews about this, they do not seem like they want to do dining deals where like if you buy the dining package, you will get in first or you will have a reserved area. They seem to like the way that it works now where it's just sort of like free for all. If you want to spend all 12 hours out in the Florida sun waiting for Joe Jonas, that's your business and that's your price of admission. You know what I mean?
And I think the biggest difference is that pavilion in Epcot where they do these concerts has seats.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very true.
Whereas at Universal, it is
It's just
standing room only
Yep.
on like a concrete pretend lawn.
Yeah.
That
It's like giant pavers, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's
Yeah.
just like faux grass in between.
right. So like that is a huge difference between the two. So I can imagine that they wouldn't want to ever have to redo that concert space. So they're never going to be able to necessarily separate out a reserved section for something
Right.
like that. So that totally makes sense.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. So, in addition to the concerts and the food, there is a parade with street performers. So, a cool thing about this parade is that you can actually ride on one of the parade floats. So, this used to just be an AP exclusive event, but post COVID, they have kind of opened it up to the public. So, if you would like to ride on the float, you can either purchase a ticket and a dining package, which is what it sounds like. It's kind of like what Disney does with their, dining packages. So it guarantees you a spot on the float and then also includes a 3-course dinner at a participating Universal restaurant. Or you can use a virtual queue in order to get a spot. And so, much like any other virtual queue at any theme park, the guests in the park can sign up to ride the floats via virtual queue. So, in previous years, the queue opened up at 2 p.m. So if you really want to do this and you want to go the virtual queue route, you got to be quick and be on there right when it opens up because it will fill up super fast.
I will say this past year, I think was a lot more inconsistent with their virtual queue times. I think like because you have to meet, I think it was like a 6 p.m. parade and you meet at 5:30 for to get on the float or whatever. The virtual queue would drop at like 5:20 some days. So like when you think of virtual queues, Disney is very much one way and Universal is very much not that way.
That's the most diplomatic way I've
So,
ever heard that.
Disney is very timely with their drops when they do virtual queues. Universal is not that way. And we'll talk about this more next episode when we talk more about Epic Universe and the virtual queue options that they have over there. But it's a little hit and miss. So just be patient with it and keep refreshing and keep trying because anywhere from 2-ish to 5-ish, it may open up. And it depends.
Someone scream, "It's open!"
Right.
and you just
Yeah.
refresh.
And from what I have heard and what I've seen team members talking about, the virtual queue availability depends on how many dining packages they sold. So if they sold a ton of dining packages one night, there may only be 5 virtual queue spaces available. But on another night, maybe they only sold 5 dining packages and there may be 25 spaces available. So it's very dependent on the day. So if that is something that's super important to you, I would not necessarily utilize the virtual queue. I would do more of the standard reserved times for that because that is going to be your best way to guarantee to get on a float.
Agreed.
Absolutely. So some of the food at the Mardi Gras celebration features, your classic Mardi Gras foods like beignets, and also some unique snack and drink offerings, like what is that?
Duck l'orange on a stick.
There you go. I don't speak French, so I don't know how to pronounce things.
I barely speak English,
Girl, you took French at least. That's true. And so 2026 will be the 30th anniversary of the Mardi Gras celebration. So they've already announced some of the floats. There's going to be some new floats for the parade and some, a promise of other fun new offerings to celebrate the 30th anniversary.
Yeah, I will say Mardi Gras is a super fun event that Universal does and Disney does very little for. So like if you're a Mardi Gras person, I know a lot of people that really like go to places like Universal. Busch Gardens and SeaWorld also do really nice Universal Mardi Gras events at their parks too. So super fun event to do. And the food is always really good from what I've heard that they've got some really nice offerings at their food booths because they do for that event they do have the different kind of similar to Epcot festivals. They've got like little food booths kind of around that offer different things for that as well.
So the other big thing or one of the big things for this festival time period is the Rock the Universe Festival, which is one that I almost constantly forget about. Not like any tea or shade. It's just like it's just like, it's so specific and it only happens over a weekend. So when you're thinking about like planning out your Universal trip, it may not be necessarily something that's,
Mhm.
coming across your mind unless you were specifically going for this. So Rock the Universe is Florida's biggest Christian music festival. Next year, it will be on January 23rd and 24th of 2026. Just in case anyone's listening to the future, I don't want anyone to think that the dates are next year, meaning 2027 or what have you.
Right.
This is a separately ticketed event. So this is, I think, our first one that we've talked about today
Yeah.
that is not included with your cost of admission. It is a separate music festival that is occurring at Universal. So it does occur at Universal Studios Florida, and that ticket for the Universal Studios Florida for the one park is included with your music festival ticket. There's a couple different ticket options that, will occur with this. If you want more about ticket options, check our last episode. But there's an after 4 p.m. one for one day and after 4 p.m. one for 2 days. So if you just want to go for like the bigger evening acts, you can do that. But if you want to take advantage of like the full Universal experience, they also offer, various combos, right? 2-night, 2-park, 2-night, 1 park, right? Like they have a bunch of different ticket options that the combos will go out into infinity if we let it. But yeah, so just know that there's a bunch of different options that if this is something you're interested in attending, you can make those determinations of, do I want to just go for the concert or do I want to experience Universal as a whole and maybe get a ticket combo or a ticket bundle there. And one other thing, this is held in the amphitheater by Rip Ride Rocket, which is the same place that we were just talking about the other concerts being held for Mardi Gras. So it's the same amphitheater, same space. So if you look up just pictures online of that amphitheater, it's all one and the same.
Perfect. Okay. And now for something completely different. Let's talk about
a right-hand turn.
Woo! Let's talk about the Volcano Bay nights offerings that Universal has. So this is a newer offering for this year where Volcano Bay is open for guests at night. So it typically closes between 5 and 7 depending on the season. That's pretty standard for a lot of the water parks in the Florida area. They just don't have the need to stay open much later than that, quite honestly. But the dates for this year were April 12th and 26th and May 3rd, 10th, and 17th. So it was just a few dates kind of in the springtime. And the event ran from 7 to 10 p.m., but it appears that it operates much like the Disney After Hours events where you can get in early. So you can arrive at 4 and gain access to the water park with your event ticket. That being said, it is a separate ticketed event, which makes sense considering it's like an after hours, right? Because you're going when the park is closed. So they begin to guide the non-event guests out by the park close, which is again typically about 5 o'clock. So the full event offerings may not be available until closer to 7, which we do see that with some of the other events that we see at Disney, like Jollywood and Not So Scary and Very Merry, those types of things. But then the park itself will remain open and operating in that kind of in between time. So the ticketed event cost for this is $99. Again, subject to change. That's just what it was for this year. And that is $99 for all ages. So they don't do a split cost for this special event. So we talked about tickets last episode with our last Universal episode, where they had kind of that 3 to 9 separate price. This does not have that. So it's $99 per person, regardless of age. And the capacity is capped fairly low with this. So this is a really big draw of having the shorter wait times on the slides and the rides and things that they have there. So if you're not including that in your general ticket purchase, but you're going during this event, it's a really great way to kind of get the most out of your time at Volcano Bay. Now, I will say that $99 price point is probably a little bit more than what you would pay for a general, just like 1-day admission to Volcano Bay from what we've found. But you'll have to kind of price that out and see how that works into your budget. Just a quick note that not all of the rides are necessarily open during this. Again, this is what we saw in the infancy of this event. It could change in the future. The majority of the fan favorites like Krakatoa Aqua Coaster are, but things like some of the body racer slides and family slides are not necessarily going to be open. However, they would be open if you want to catch them like right at the beginning of your entry to that. So like if you get in at that 4 o'clock early time, you would be able to maybe hop on one thing, maybe two if you're lucky, that maybe might be closed during the event. So that would be a good way to utilize that time. A couple other fun offerings that they have at this event is they have a ton of DreamWorks characters for meet and greets, which is super fun. Definitely very like family friendly when it comes to those kind of offerings. So Shrek, Puss in Boots, and Queen Poppy from Trolls have all been spotted as some of the character meet and greets. Again, subject to change. They could swap those out and rotate those as the event kind of grows and evolves. They have live entertainment, including a DJ, games, and activities for the whole family, specialty themed island treats and eats, Duck's favorite category of all of these events. There are a few light bites that are complimentary as well, but then they also have a wider array of food available for purchase. And it does include a complimentary Coca-Cola Freestyle souvenir cup included with your admission, which is a fun little perk of having that ticket for that event.
Everyone loves a free souvenir cup, let's be
Right?
honest.
They're the best.
Yeah.
Free souvenir popcorn buckets, cups, refillable mugs. They're all great. Love
We
it.
have
So
14,000 of them in our
I right?
Yeah.
It's
They
so
get-
many.
They get well loved.
Yes. Yes, it's true. So that kind of in a nutshell is the Volcano Bay Nights. Again, a brand new event that hopefully we'll see happen in the future again.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. Perfect. All right. What else? We're getting close to the end of our event list here. We're getting closer to what Duck and Jess have been waiting for. But we've got one more, I think, to talk about before we jump into HHN. So what else do we have?
One thing stands in my way, and that is Grad Bash. So Grad Bash is just like the general term for there's really two separate events that occur in this, and they're kind of exactly what they sound like, right? So this is an event for kids graduating. We have Grad Bash, which is the seniors who are graduating, or I'm sorry, Grad Party is the general name for it. Grad Bash is the specific age group for seniors who are graduating from high school. So this occurred this year, April 4th and 5th. April 11th and April 25th. This happens every year. This has been a thing that they have done for many, many years now, and it's almost always in like the April-May timeframe for these. But tickets are available for these kids through their schools. Their schools do have to apply and make some agreements on behavior
Yep.
in order to be eligible for these tickets. They are discounted tickets. Of course, the school has to have chaperones that are coming. How the school runs it is up to them. It could be parents, it could be teachers. Usually it's both from what I've seen. And the chaperones and the kids are quote unquote locked into the parks until it closes around midnight, right? They don't want a high school right. They don't want high school kids just like leaving the premises and going in and out and doing who knows what in a theme park, you know? So they are pretty strict. And you know, the chaperones just have to be in the general area of the kids. There has to be, you know, every school does a little differently. Maybe they'll do check-ins, you know, things like that. But this is, you know, like a lock-in type situation. So that's the Grad Bash, and then there is the Grad Venture, which is the exact same type of event, but rather than for high school seniors who are graduating, this is for 8th graders who are moving up into freshman year of high school. So otherwise it's the same as Grad Bash. Tickets are gotten through the school, the chaperones have to participate, yada yada. You have to sign contracts saying I will behave at Universal, the usual. And this year it's taking place on May 2nd, May 9th, May 16th, and May 17th. So yeah, that's where is it? Grad Party. Yeah, I mean we've had something similar at other places. Great Adventure, which is near us, the theme park near us, it's Six Flags Park, used to do this like 100 years ago. They don't do it anymore.
Yeah.
It's just not a thing anymore, unfortunately.
Disneyland does it.
Yeah, Disneyland does it.
Mhm.
You know who did it? I think a couple years ago was Dorney Park. I think Dorney Park regularly does it. I think they had it more limited, like during COVID, because of
Right.
obviously COVID, but also staffing issues. I think they are starting to bring it back. I saw some speculation about it, so I think that would be really great because Dorney Park is another really fun park, in the Northeast. So
Yeah, and I will say that, I think these events can kind of get a bad rap, but do keep in mind that like the general admission park is like they're like those people are not in the parks at this time. This is
Yes,
literally
it's
just an event
kids.
for these kids and chaperones.
Yes.
So that's at least helpful. I feel like in the grand scheme of things, if you're thinking about sending your 8th grader or whoever to these theme parks, they're not going to have the day guests all there. Typically the park will close at like a 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. and then it's like, yeah, like 7 to midnight that these events happen. So, and I do think that it's very smart the way that Universal does it. And I don't think a lot of other theme parks do it where you have to kind of like go through the school avenue
yes,
to be able to get your tickets, right? Places like Disneyland and some of those other ones, they just have these tickets just open to anyone who wants to participate.
yeah.
So I think that's a very smart thing that Universal did by making them come
Yeah.
with their school.
And
It helps remind them it's like a school sponsored event, so you are still technically at school
Right.
type of thing.
And I've seen a lot of schools just like scrolling through Universal's Reddit and people, talking about when they did it or what have you.
Right.
A lot of schools also, I think this is smart, have them sign contracts. I made a joke about it earlier, but it is just sort of like you said, a reminder, this is a school event. There are still things that can be taken away. School's not over just yet.
Right.
Maybe, you know what I mean? There's still events and graduation and things that, could be on the line. So
Right.
and I have to say, from a lot of the stories, it sounds like it's just typical teenagers. It doesn't sound, it's not anything catastrophic.
Right.
So, maybe some general, teenage misbehaving, but
Right.
nothing terrible. So,
Right. They're not like trashing the park and lighting things on fire. So we're good. We're good. Perfect. Well, I think with that, we have made it finally in this multi-part series to the one thing that Duck and Jess have been waiting to talk about. And I keep telling them, we'll get there. I promise we'll get there. We'll get there. But we have made it
Finally
through
here.
all of the other events. And we have now made it to the time that they can shine and discuss Halloween Horror Nights. So I'm going to zip my lips and I'm going to let the two of you, within reason, I love you both, discuss Halloween Horror Nights because we will be doing more information on Halloween Horror Nights. We already talked about, we want to do kind of like an all things spooky season episode later this year as we get closer to spooky time and we get more information about details about houses and menus and all that kind of stuff. So this is just your overview and then some.
I already promised I would be as normal as possible during this whole thing.
Just not very normal.
We just have my one little boo popcorn bucket.
Yes.
And I will be normal, I promise.
Yes. And if you're listening to the podcast and you cannot see us, Duck has a small pumpkin-shaped popcorn bucket that is shaped like one of the mascots, I guess, so to speak, of Halloween Horror Nights called Little Boo. Lil. It's like Lil, right? Lil Boo. So that is what they were referring to with that. But Duck and Jess, I will defer to you. Take it away. Let's hear about Halloween Horror Nights.
So Halloween Horror Nights is our favorite event at all of Universal. It takes place on select nights starting August 29th and going through November 2nd. So it usually starts that Labor Day weekend. And it takes place through all of the Universal Studios park. So it was once upon a time, in way, way back when dinosaurs walked the earth in 2002, because that's how long ago that feels by now.
4 times.
Yeah, literally.
So true.
HHN was moved over to Islands of Adventure. So it was there for a couple years in 02 and 03, and then in 2004 it actually was split between Studios and Islands of Adventure. And then that was the last year that ever happened because Marvel was very unhappy with some of the events that took place in their section of the park. all of the heroes were defeated. Carnage reigned supreme over that area, and
It was bad.
it was bad. It wasn't good. Wasn't good.
I mean, it was awesome, but it was
Right.
bad. Yeah.
It wasn't good from a marketing standpoint.
Yeah.
But like as a fan, it was so sick.
Right.
It was so good.
Yeah, so we have not gotten anything except for like a small little gift shop with Horror Nights merch in Islands of Adventure since, and it is very sad. But what we do have over at Studios, so like I said, it's spread all throughout the entire park. So there are haunted houses, scare zones, and different entertainment offerings. And some of the rides, some select attractions are open during this event. So not everything. Some of the rides are shut down to act as queues for the houses and stuff like that. But a lot of your main, attractions are open. Things like the Mummy, Gringotts, and things like that.
And perhaps more importantly, Men in Black.
Men in Black is always open.
A, it's fun, and B, great air conditioning.
Yeah.
It gets hot in those houses, so
So the houses are really like the biggest draw of the whole event. So these are different walkthrough attractions that carry you through a storyline related to whatever the theme is. So they are chock full of scare actors, which are Universal employees in costumes, and there are special effects and immersive sounds to really make you feel like you're stepping into whatever the story is, into this world. So these can be based on IPs. So existing properties. One of Duck's favorites from a couple of years ago was the Halloween house. It literally took you through the entire first Halloween movie, like scene by scene. It was amazing.
it was so
So cool. My favorite houses have always been the Stranger Things houses that they've done because that's one of my favorite series. And I think they're a lot of fun. They're not particularly scary, I would say. So if you're not someone who likes like super frightening things, like they're a good beginner kind of house for you. But they're just always a lot of fun. And then they can also be based on video games, as we saw with the Last of Us house that they had in 2023, which was based on the video game. I don't even think the show had released yet at that point, or it was about to.
It was about to.
Um,
It was based specifically for anybody who's played it. It was based specifically on the Pittsburgh level
Mhm.
of the video game. So it
Yeah.
was like a specific chunk within the video game. Even it wasn't even just like the whole storyline of the game.
Yeah. And then there are also houses that are original houses, so that were created by the HHN creative team. And some of our all-time favorite houses have been these houses. There have been ones that we did not really expect to be as great as they were, but then we left like, yeah, I was really excited for Ghostbusters, but that like blew it out of the water. So one of our favorites was Dead Man's Pier, Winter's Wake, which was themed to a frozen fishing village in New England. And it was just so cool. It was, you were being attacked by undead sailors. And it was just like the whole set was beautiful. The way that they made it like freezing cold in the house, like everything about it was amazing. Plus the story that it told was super cool too. And then another thing worth noting is that every year they have a Universal Monsters house, so like kind of IP, kind of original to them. But those houses are always a lot of fun. They're really beautifully done. They feature a lot of really cool characters. And a lot of times they're like, it's almost like an adventure kind of game kind of situation. Like they're fighting it out and you're seeing who wins kind of thing. So it's really cool.
Yeah, the last couple years that we've gone, the storylines have facilitated different winners of the battle, right?
Mhm.
So like a couple years ago there was like a Dracula versus the Wolfman. And so like depending on what time you went through the house or what night, different like either the Dracula would win or the Wolfman would win or whatever it is. So like there's different things that can happen within the house with slight variation, but it makes it worthwhile then to go through a couple of times to see what else you can recognize. What maybe there's a scare actor there now, or maybe the ending will be different, right? So there is a lot of revisit ability to both the original and the IP houses.
That's so smart of them to do that, I feel like,
Right?
because it gives people the want to. I mean, not that most people, granted, if they're visiting HHN, they are going to the houses multiple times anyway. But that gives you something to kind of look for and wonder about, what
Right.
ending will we get, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we, not to totally detract from this and make it all HHN, but there was that one year I really love the Wolfman. I love the Wolfman. He is my favorite Universal monster. And the first night that we went, he did not win.
Yeah.
And then the second night, I was like, he has to win. He has to win. I want so badly for him to win. And he did. And our whole group just started cheering. And the Wolfman started doing the Cabbage Patch. Like, it was so good.
Fun.
Like, moments like that really make HHN so fun because, like, the scare actors really have, like, within reason, a lot of freedom, right? So, like, they may have, like, the one position that they're supposed to be in through the houses, but, like, they trigger the effect, so they can choose when and where to pop out. So, like, it's really, there's a lot of freedom, and it really makes it a very fun experience every time you go through the house. So, in addition to what we were talking about before with the houses, there are also scare zones. So, scare zones are kind of what they sound like, right? They are zones of the park, specifically of the walkways through the park, that are themed in some way. So, they will have costumed cast members or scare actors. They will have set pieces and props and just be dressed up in general to whatever the theming may be. There are, just like houses, they can be themed to an intellectual property. There was, oh my goodness, what's the
Blumhouse?
Blumhouse. There's been Blumhouse. What's the zombie movie with Double Tap? Zombieland.
Oh yeah, Zombieland.
And my personal favorite was the Rob Zombie scare zone. That rocked. That thing
I
was
love
so
that.
cool. It was so fun. But yeah, so they can be tied to an intellectual property. They can even be tied to some of like the original house IPs. So like last year there was a Major Sweets house. A couple years before that there was a Major Sweets scare zone. So there's like some lore that we'll talk more about in our HHN centric episode, but there is sometimes connections between the original scare zones and the houses. And so, yeah, like they can either be, oh, the Swamp of the Undead was the other one that I wanted to talk about from last year because that was a really good one. It was themed to be like a Louisiana bayou where, you know, what's under the water doesn't always stay there. So that was a really fun, well-themed one because of where the sound effects were. And again, I can just, as you can tell, I'm very excited about this topic. I can go on, but suffice to say, they are just chunks of the park that you walk through and are themed with some scare actors. Now, the other big thing here is entertainment. So, HHN has gone through a bunch of different iterations. This is the 34th year, I think, of it existing.
Oh my god. So
I think this year is 34. It's 33 or 34. But so of course through that time everything has changed many times over. But one thing that has been pretty consistent the last couple of years is the nighttime show that they offer called Nightmare Fuel. So Nightmare Fuel is a acrobatic, pyrotechnic, heavy metal show. Like that's the gist of it, right? They do there is a storyline that has connected the different iterations, right? There's original Nightmare Fuel, and now we have Nightmare Fuel Nocturnal Circus, I think it's called. You don't have to have seen the others, don't worry. But there is a storyline that will go on through these shows being told by these fantastic acrobats and fire spinners, and like it's
the things
unbelievable.
they do are absolutely insane.
Unbelievable. So it
I
is
nearly break my neck just walking down the street, and these people are flipping with fire and like all kinds of
spinning in rings. I don't know what's going on. Every second is just like something new and shocking that I would have no business doing. You know what I mean?
That's one of those shows that you sit in and you just like your anxiety builds as you sit and watch them because of everything they're doing. You're like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh.
Yep. 100%.
Yep.
But so,
in a good way, right? Like
right, yeah.
it's very entertaining also at the same time. Like, don't get us wrong.
Everything about HHN is built on having fun scares, right? And Nightmare Fuel is an extension of that, right? It is shocking and fun and crazy, and you see these stunts being pulled off in a way that you would never expect, and the fire and everything, right? So it is a continuation of the rest of the park and the rest of the event in the best way possible.
Yeah. And I second what Allie Beth says. Whoever mixes their music every year deserves an award because they have incredible soundtracks to the shows. It is so good.
Every year, it's incredible. So there are 4 shows every night of Nightmare Fuel. They are all extremely popular. Your best bet is if you can stand it, go to the 12:30 show, which is the latest show, because most people are like headed out by then. So that is usually your best bet. They are very popular. If you are interested in it, get there early. It also can get really warm in there, so maybe bring a fan, bring a cooling towel. There's a lot of people and a lot of fire. It just
And
gets
Florida heat.
yeah,
Not bad.
just gets warm. Just gets
Yeah.
warm.
Fair.
Yeah. So there were previously other nighttime shows in various places, but they have all pretty much been discontinued in order to support the spectacle that is Nightmare Fuel. So some other key pieces of information I will say about HHN.
Mhm.
No costumes. They are so strict about this. If it could look like maybe you are a scare actor, you cannot wear it. It does not matter. You are out of there. They will not let you in the park. They are so strict about it. So if you're questioning, don't wear it.
Yeah. It's for your safety as well as the scare actor's safety. Exactly. Like, just best not to do it. They do sell little like headbands that light up, the little like double horns and stuff like that. It's like if you're looking for something themed that you can wear, there are things you can buy in the parks. But just it's best to avoid anything that is remotely costume like.
Now, do they have issues with like Harry Potter robes during HHN?
So that is a good question. I have seen kids wearing them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that I've seen an adult wearing them. And the reason, okay, that's actually not true. I used to see them wearing them. However, since they've included the Dementors,
Eaters.
thank you,
Eaters.
Death Eaters. I had
Yeah.
a stroke. Since they've included the Death Eaters, they have not really allowed adults to wear the Harry Potter robes.
Yeah.
Because some of them have hoods, and if you put it up from a distance, you're gonna get chased by a social media blogger. Like, it's just gonna happen. Like, you could be mistaken for
the social media blog.
and you were
so
getting chased.
weird with the Death Eaters. It is
Oh, I know.
horrible.
Oh, yeah. We're not going there.
Let me
Nope.
tell you,
It's very
Death
uncomfortable.
Eaters, they do cardio. They
Yeah.
do cardio all throughout Diagon Alley. They are fleeing, is what's happening.
Yeah.
So people are weird. Anyway,
But I've seen kids, but not adults. But I feel like whenever I'm there, I mostly see kids wearing the robes. I feel like adults could not stand to wear those robes in the heat, but kids just like,
no polyester robes
self-preservation.
in 95-degree Florida heat, 100% humidity. I'm good.
No.
Right. So when in doubt, just don't do it.
Yeah.
Wear
And-
a fun themed T-shirt and a cute little headband and call it good.
Yeah. And I'm going to say it's also up to the security guard's discretion. So don't chance it, right?
Right.
You might be okay, but don't risk it because you already paid so much money for this.
Right.
They won't even let you in the door to buy a new shirt. They will not physically let you in on property at all. So don't risk it.
Yep.
So true.
So I know we said that there were kids running around in robes, but it is not technically a recommended event for people under 13.
Mhm.
Now, please gauge your kids because their HHN can be intense, right?
Yeah.
There can be a lot of things going on. So even if your kiddo is above 13, it still may not be an appropriate event for them.
Mhm.
But I've also seen kids who were like 8 and did totally fine and rocked it, right?
Yeah.
So like
Right.
it is very much like up to your discretion as a parent, but like please use your most like critical thinking cap when it comes to what you think your kid can handle,
Yes.
because it's so unfortunate when the kids, like I've seen kids get very uncomfortable and
Yeah.
very upset at HHN. It can be really intense. So just like truly, I know it's so much fun and you as an adult might really want to go, but like please don't put your kiddo through that.
You gotta know your kid.
Yeah, it's very much up to your individual kid. Some kids are totally cool. Like I said, I'm not exaggerating. I've seen an 8-year-old like totally rock through HHN having a great time. But like I also have seen like grown adults not have a good time.
Yeah.
So it's very much like you have to know yourself because
Mhm.
it is fun scary, but it can also be scary. So it's just important to know your limits and your kiddo's limits.
Absolutely.
Also, really quick, just on the as you are entering and exiting houses, please say thank you to the cast members.
Yeah.
Please say thank you. They really appreciate it. And if you happen to make eye contact with one of those emergency exit people, wave to them. They love it. They always wave back. It's very fun. So just throwing that out there.
Perfect.
And
I
just to
love
pause and read a comment super quick. Allie Beth said that the the actors are like super respectful. If you're like, I'm done, I can't, no, please, like they will back off, especially in the scare zones. I've had it happen. I was being followed by somebody, and that really freaks me out. So I really just kind of like gave a look that was like, please no, and he backed off like immediately because he realized like, oh, this isn't fun anymore for this person. So they are pretty good with that.
Yes, because they want to make it an enjoyable experience, right? They're not trying to send you running out of the park. Like they want you to stay and enjoy the spooky and have fun with it. So they want you to enjoy yourself. And they have a fun time doing it too. So they want that interaction from you. The more that you buy in and the more you interact, the better your experience is going to be with that.
Absolutely.
As somebody who constantly jumps 10 feet in the air and has a great time, I can confirm fun all around.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so I think we've got a couple more things with HHN to talk about. What else do we need to know?
So, again, most near and dear to my heart, themed food and drinks. So every year there's like a dozen-ish, depends, booths that are themed to, they're either unique themes or they're themed to the area that they are in, right? It could be a scare zone, it could be a house. Like last year there was a Ghostbusters house, so we had a Ghostbusters food booth. And they will come up with some, I'll call them cookie concoctions, right? Like there is some really interesting and really good food and drinks that come out of these booths. So last year, my personal favorite was the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man s'mores.
So delicious.
It was so good. It was just like a large marshmallow in the shape of the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man with chocolate and a graham cracker. And like we really lucked out because each time they were like hot and melty, and it was like the perfect s'more. So but yeah, so they have like drinks.
Nachos in the bag were delicious.
Yes, the walking tacos.
Yes, as if they called them something.
Yes. Leave it to me. I will remember all the food.
Didn't they have like a green hot dog or something at one point in time?
It was a corn dog.
It was the green corn dog. Yes, it was like a mint vibe to it. It was like supposed to be Garaka, I think the thing's name was. It was supposed to be like an icy Garaka corn dog. So if anybody's seen the Ghostbusters Afterlife, that was the house. So yeah, so they really lean into the food theming and the drink theming, and even when it's bad, it's still good because it's just fun, you know.
Yeah, it's a little bit of stunt food, but that's okay.
Sometimes stunt food works out great, like those s'mores that I'll think about forever, you know. Yeah, so they are. I can't. This is definitely one where we can't be like, and here's some typical food that you might see, because every single year it's different. But I will say, every food booth has such variety. You know what I mean? So like, you will find something somewhere in the park that will have a fun theme, and you will be able to eat. They also have like gluten sensitive options, and most booths have at least one vegan option. So like there's always variety in the portions and the type and the availability and the drinks. They also have non-alcoholic versions of most drinks. So just check on the sign. It will specify whether they have like an alcohol-free version. But some booths like have specific mocktails too. So there's a ton of variety. They have every possible base covered when it comes to food and drinks.
Now, with the food also, I will mention that some of the like standard food options are still open during HHN.
Yes.
So if you're worried about the more exploratory options, you can still find French fries and
staples.
Yeah, that type of stuff. So don't be concerned about that. If that is something like, if you're like me who has some dietary needs, if you've got, younger members, if you're traveling with kiddos that are going to be fine during HHN and they need something, you're going to be able to find a lot of options that are very much theme park staples and kid or picky eater friendly.
Yes, and not only are like the regular, like I think Moe's Tavern is open, but like they're like some of the booths just have regular food. Like they might call it something to be themed, like I forget what it was, the Deadly Triplets of Terror from last year. They had like, it was like birthday party food, right? But it was really just like chicken fingers and fries, right? So like some of them are just totally fine, normal food. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be like Garaka's icy breath or whatever. Like it's not all like
they're
that.
not all
things. We highlight that because that is the big draw, right? It's what you see all over social media. But if you have sensitivities or dietary needs, There's plenty of options available. And if you're ever unsure, check the app or ask a team member. I know I keep saying that, but truly, like, they are always the best source of information, and they are very well trained at Universal.
They're on it.
Yes, so true. Okay, let's talk about merch.
My other favorite way to spend money.
Yeah.
Food and merch.
As evidenced by the fact that we've been
Yeah.
shipping HHN for the past
and I like
4 episodes now.
smiley brought in my little boo popcorn bucket that I love dearly. So in our spooky opinion, HHN has some of the best merch
Mhm.
that Universal has to offer. They have, usually for the IP houses, they will have a t-shirt, a sweatshirt, a backpack, a
Yep.
pin set, right? Like, they will have the whole lineup for that. But sometimes they'll also have it for the original houses. So if you really enjoyed, they'll have that. And then, of course, they'll just have, like, whatever the theme is. Like, this was, like, the punk rock one from last year.
This was, I think, like 2 years ago. There was a lot of Lil Boo featured.
Yeah, it's that's, like, classic Halloween, like, 50s
Yeah.
Halloween. This year, we have gotten some previews.
Ooh.
It's just some merch got put out today, and I've been very normal about it. Thank you for asking.
I don't
so-
believe you for a second.
And yet I've done it. I have not been normal. I can't. I literally, first thing that I said to Jess when Jess walked in the door was, "Hey, there's a new spec map out for HHN."
Yep. And
Very
I
normal.
put my bag down.
Nope, very normal.
Yep.
But yeah, so for the merch, I mean it. If there is an item that you could want, they will have it.
Mhm.
Shirts, pins, sweatshirts, hats, mugs, socks, signs,
Blankets, pillows.
blankets, but I mean, like, literally anything and everything. What was the other thing that I was gonna say? Oh, they've started introducing, like, crossbody bags, like
Mhm.
bum bags or fanny packs. They have, like, purses, and I really mean it. Phone cases, like, if iPod cases or iPod cases. Good Lord, AirPod cases. I'm so old. Like, truly, if it is an item that can be sold, plushies, like,
Blind box,
they'll sell.
figurines.
Oh my God,
kinds of-
we have so
yeah.
many blind box figurines.
I'm
It's
not
so fun.
surprised by that.
No. Well, there was one year where they had the Wolfman as a figure, and I had to buy 14 of them. I'm being I'm being a little facetious. It was like 6. Yes.
Right.
I was like, I have to be normal about this, but I need the Wolfman. We wound up getting every single figure, so it worked out fine.
Hey, there you go. That's nice.
And we
Complete
have-
sets are always a good thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it allows me to be much more chill about things, because once I got my Wolfman, we were good.
Right.
But yeah, so, like, I really mean it. If you can think of it, they sell it.
Yeah.
Now, the only thing, I'm not out here to push capitalism and say spend all your dollars in one place. But if you are attending HHN and you see something that you like, purchase it sooner than
Yeah.
later. Because we have more than once been very disappointed, even just, like, through the night that we have been there. Things will sell out.
Right.
These items are very popular, especially when it comes to, like, the icons. So, like, Little Boo, or there are other, like, they call them Jack, like,
or-
yeah, like, they're the mascots for HHN. So Jack, Chance, right? Like, if you've been in the HHN world, you've seen these different figures. They will sell out quickly. So if there's something that you are interested in, perhaps pick it up sooner than later. And the other thing that's good is if you see something that you like, but you're not going to be able to make it there until later in the season, they will often put it up on their website. So as soon as you see something, if you like it, like, as merch is rolling out through the season, because sometimes things release a little later, depending on when they can get it. Keep an eye on the website. Not everything makes its way on there, especially, like, the house-specific merch. But, like, the Little Boo pillow from last year, we were able to get him on the website. Things like that. So, just keep an eye out. And if you like it, grab it sooner than later.
Mhm.
That's all.
I'll never stop thinking about that little blue shoulder plush.
Oh, God, I know. Maybe they'll bring it back
Biggest
this year.
regret, but they didn't. I didn't get him.
I know. Maybe they'll bring it back. You never know.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing too, is unfortunately you're better off earlier in the season when it comes to that, because as you get later, and this happens for Not So Scary and Very Merry at Disney too, like, the later parties and the later dates, they may or may not have the ability to replenish that merch for every day. So earlier is better than later. First night is not always great for merch because, like you said, sometimes stuff might get delayed, especially now with the supply chain post-COVID the way it's been for the past 5 years. You never really know with shipping and, all of that. So just keep that in mind, and maybe phone a friend that you know that's going to HHN or one of these events to help you out if you need to.
No shame in asking for some backup.
Nope. Absolutely. Okay. Did we make it through? Do you feel satisfied in the amount of information that we gave tonight for HHN?
Yes.
Okay.
In keeping it as fairly normal as possible, in only going off on like 3 tangents.
You did great.
Thank you. I'm so proud of myself and I feel happy. But should
Perfect.
anyone ever have any questions, I beg of you, talk to me about it. I need someone else to talk to because Jess will leave me if I keep involving her.
It's a good thing that she also enjoys HHN
Yes,
because
thank
then it would not work.
No.
It would not be a good situation.
No.
Perfect. Oh my gosh. Okay, so that is the event section of this episode now that we've been here for what feels like 18 hours talking about events, but that's just the way we roll here at Mom Street. We like to be thorough. So those are kind of your overview. Before we wrap this episode, we do just want to talk about Volcano Bay because you have heard us mention Volcano Bay when we talked about tickets and the different theme parks and things, and we kept saying, we'll cover that later. We'll cover that later. Well, later is now. So let's talk about Volcano Bay before we wrap for today. Just a quick note that next episode, we are going to be talking more specifically about Islands of Adventure, Universal Studios Florida, and Epic Universe. So all three of those and kind of we're going to do kind of a Fast and Furious next episode with those three theme parks talking about hopefully talking about their attractions and what they have to offer and things like that. So that is coming. So I'm going to preview that now by doing that with Volcano Bay here just briefly. So again, this is Universal Orlando's water park. So when you think about water parks, you think about Disney's got two. Well, this is Universal's equivalent to that. It is generally themed to various Polynesian cultures and features a variety of water attractions that are very kid-friendly. So kind of get that in your head as far as Polynesian themed and very much family and kid friendly for that. We went over tickets with this in the previous episode.
Extensively.
Very extensively, yes. But you can do various different options with your tickets. You can do single day tickets, which range between 80 to 100, depending on the season and the day of the week and things like that. But you can also do packages with them. So if you need more ticket information, the last episode in our Universal series is where you want to go for that information. As far as hours of the park go, they can shift slightly seasonally, which I think is very normal for the theme parks or for the water parks that are associated with the theme parks in Florida. So as we are currently recording this, May of 2025, the hours are 10 to 6. Later in the summer hours, you will see more of like a 9 to 7, which again is very standard, very typical for those water parks in Florida. You can utilize early entry if you are a resort guest that gets early entry because of where you're staying. You get a half hour to maybe an hour, depending on, again, time of year and hours and all that jazz. So keep in mind, if you're an annual pass holder, there are select dates that you also qualify for early entry. So check your app, check your information for your annual pass for that. Same thing goes for the theme parks, which I don't remember if we actually mentioned that when we talked about the theme parks, and we didn't really talk much about passes, but if you are an annual pass holder, you do have that perk on select days.
On the list it goes for a whole other episode. Passes.
I don't know that we need to do that.
I'll find somewhere to just throw it in.
Jack's just trying to keep talking about Universal.
I know. And listen, I love you for that, but we do eventually have to cycle back to Disney things every once in a while, you know?
We'll
so
probably be talking about Disney things when we talk about the Halloween stuff.
that is true. It's going to be a
Mhm.
split joint happy spooky episode, but
Hooray.
yes, hooray. Okay, let's talk about the attractions at Volcano Bay. So it is split up into 4 areas or villages. So there's Rainforest Village, River Village, Wave Village, and then the volcano. And within each of these villages is they have a lot of variety, including those family-friendly areas and attractions that we talked about. So River Village is designed for families with the younger kids. This features a play area that is explicitly designed for toddlers, a water fortress, aka playground, water, jungle gym, called Runamukka Reef, which I love that name. That's amazing. Um,
There's quite a few good puns in
yeah,
there, I must say.
perfect. I love it. As well as a lazy river and 2 family-friendly slides in that area. Wave Village is the kind of chill area of the park where you can rent the cabanas here, and it's geared more towards people who want to just like lay by the water and relax and soak in the vibes. There are 2 wave pools. One is like your standard wave pool, and one is a way more calm wave pool. So again, family friendly, really good for your littles if you've got some beginner swimmers or kiddos who are not maybe quite as strong. You have a more calm wave pool experience for them, as well as a large pool that's just meant for general pool floating and relaxing. The Rainforest Village has 4 of what we will call the thrill rides at the at the water park. It includes a tunnel ride and a ride that's intended to simulate whitewater rafting. So that's the thrill aspect of those ones. You don't necessarily always think of thrill rides at a water park, but there you go. It works.
I don't know. If you look at some of these, they're pretty thrilling looking.
Yeah, they're intense.
Intense.
Yes, you want to make sure that you've got some good swimmers before you go down those. And last but not least, the as Duck put it in our notes, the crown jewel of the park, the volcano.
It's the logo.
Yeah, literally the volcano area. So this is where the biggest and most popular slides are. There are 4 attractions here, but the most important one is the much beloved Krakatoa, right? I always want to say Krakatoa, and that's not right.
I do the same thing. It is Krakatoa. I also call it Krakatoa.
Yeah.
The big
I'm
volcano.
sure most people also do.
They
so.
definitely do,
Yes.
because I was looking it up to make sure that I was like, that's how it's spelled.
Right.
And multiple forum posts were like, why didn't they just call it Krakatoa?
I wonder if it's like a copyright thing.
I actually have a suspicion somebody else.
Right.
Yeah. Because
There's some sort of
was like a-
trademark or copyright or
yeah, it was like a real event that happened, and I'm sure somebody somewhere has trademarked that in
Probably.
history. So
Yes.
Krakatoa
So-
it is.
Yes. And that is the Aqua Coaster. So it is again the Volcano Bay logo. So it is the icon of that park. This slide uses a linear induction motor to pull your raft uphill, which is the same technology that's used on like actual roller coasters. So that's pretty cool when it comes to that attraction. Let's talk briefly just about food as we wrap up our kind of Fast and Furious Volcano Bay information here. Everything within Volcano Bay is classified as quick service, but most places have plenty of seating as well. So very much a go and order at the counter and pick it up with your tray and take it to where you want to sit. There are 4 main food places to order from, basically one in each section of the park. Oh gosh, How do you say that?
Cahola,
Cahola?
I think.
Yes.
So bad with pronunciations. If you have been around Mom Street for long enough, you know that I am so terrible with pronunciations. But the Cahola Reef Restaurant and Social Club. Oh gosh. Is that
Waka Wai Wai?
Waka Wai Wai Eats? We're gonna go with that. The Feasting Frog and Bamboo are the
that one.
The last two
Got it. Crushed it. Yes. But each of those locations will specialize in something specific to that location. Burgers, nachos, tacos, those types of things. So you want to check all of them to kind of get your best options for who's going to want what. And you may have to do some walking around the locations to kind of get everybody what they want when it comes to that. I will say that I've heard that the food at Volcano Bay is very good. So for whatever reason, the water parks in Florida seem to have really great food options, because I've heard the same about the Disney water parks too.
I was gonna say, now that you say that, that is a running theme.
Yeah.
I feel like if I can just like put my little conspiracy tinfoil hat on,
I'm ready.
I feel like it's not that it's not constantly on, but I feel like that's done intentionally as like an additional draw. You know what I mean? Like not everybody likes water parks, but there will be something, you know what I mean? Like maybe somebody will stick their feet in and then just go have some really good nachos. You know what I mean?
Well, and I will say along with that, my bigger guess, especially for the Disney ones, is that everything has to be made on site because they are further away from
Yes.
a lot of the central kitchens. So, like, part of the reason why, like, Disney World churros are so terrible is because they're made at a central kitchen and then they're dispersed throughout property and sit under heat lamps forever.
Sad churro noises.
Right. So whereas like Disneyland, they make them fresh, so they're a lot better in the carts. So I would anticipate that it's probably something to do with that as well, that they have to do a lot more of the preparing and preparation and cooking on hand at the water parks. I could be wrong, but that would be my guess, maybe in conjunction with what you said about making sure that the food is good enough to keep people there.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that makes total sense. Yeah.
Mhm.
Your explanation, probably more likely, but yeah.
It's probably a little bit of both, to be honest.
50-50.
So.
Thank you. I love
Yes.
sharing credit.
Perfect. Yes. So they also do have lots of little like snack and drink carts throughout the park as well. So you're not limited to just having bigger meals at those places. So you can grab a pretzel or a soda or whatever it is that you're looking for at that park as well. So that again, kind of Fast and Furious is Volcano Bay, but I feel like that gives you a rundown enough. If you're someone considering going to Volcano Bay, I would pull up some maybe point of view YouTubes of those slides to see if you think they fit your travel party that's going. And I think the biggest thing is like water parks can feel a little overwhelming for parents that are taking littles that maybe are newly swimmers or still using flotation help or whatever it may be. But the all of the Florida theme parks have some really great water park options. So if you've got kiddos that love water, definitely give them a look when it comes to planning your trip.
Agreed. Especially, I think that Volcano Bay was really quite smart having that toddler specific area too.
Yes.
That really is a good draw for them, especially if you have a family with various age kiddos, right? Maybe you do have some older kids who are more ready for those, for Krakatoa or for some of the bigger, like they have like those trapdoor body slides, right? Like
Right.
maybe they're really stoked for that, but maybe you also have a little guy who's like super not ready for any of that. So like
Right.
the variety of things that they offer, from the family slides to the individual like thrilling body slides, is it's actually quite impressive how much they were able to fit in this one park. So,
Right.
and I'm not even a water park person, so that's like a genuine compliment. I don't do water parks, so
Yeah. No, I'm not a water park person either, but it's to the point now where my kids are old enough and they're both fairly good swimmers that I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to put my mom hat on and say, okay, we can go to the water park.
I love you so dearly.
I'm so excited for you.
Make your husband take them. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he would gladly, but also like there's two of them, and my anxiety can't deal with the fact that
Very
like
fair.
two of them and one of
No,
him,
two-
while
two
he could
on one, not a
totally,
good plan.
while he could totally handle it because he is completely capable, and often will take them to like our local pool and like swim with them in the water without me because I'm just not a huge swimmer. Water parks are a totally different situation, and
To
I
be
have
clear, this is absolutely not a knock against your husband. I know he's wonderful and capable. This is more of an indictment of how clever children can be.
yes.
And how quickly they can just sprint in another direction that they're not supposed to. Even when,
Especially in crowded public spaces.
right, even when they're as good as your kids, sometimes something deep in their brain just takes over when there's something exciting like a water park. So,
Yep.
so very fair.
Yes. So, again, all of this to be said, we do suggest that you look into the water parks, especially Volcano Bay if you're going to be over at Universal. Coming up this summer, it's going to be warm. It's already super hot in Florida. So, we've hit the 90s and we're not looking back when it comes to Florida weather. So, considering that it's a cheaper alternative and something fun that your whole family will be able to find something to do, it's a really great option for your trip. All right.
I think we did it.
We did it. Woo! We made it to the end of our list. Okay, so
It's 2 hours.
Hey,
That's
you
actually
know?
pretty good.
That is it.
With as many sidetracks as I really could have dragged us down for HHN, I think we did
Mhm.
great.
Yes, exactly. Well, and it's so hard because there's so much information.
Yeah.
And like when when we were texting about our notes for this week, it's like, okay, we want to give them enough, but not overwhelm them. But we want to make sure that they can make informed decisions about whether or not, the whole purpose of this whole series that we're doing and the reason that Duck and Jess wanted to do it initially was like people don't often know whether or not Universal is a good choice for their family.
Yeah.
Mhm.
They know what Disney has to offer. It's very evident. It's very well publicized. It's very well covered in the media. Universal is, but also isn't. Universal is more covered for like HHN and the big coasters and that kind of stuff. So it can feel very unsure as a parent with a younger kiddo. So that's the whole point of this series, right? Is for our families who are Disney families to truly decide, is Universal right for me? So that's what we hope we did. Hopefully you found this helpful. And again, like Duck mentioned earlier, if you've got additional questions or want more advice or more information, please reach out to us. You can find us momstreetusa@gmail.com, or you can find us at Mom Street USA on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, those types of places. Yes. You can find us there if that is easier for you. Please send us a DM, send us a message. We will gladly help you out. That's what we're here for. The whole purpose of Mom Street USA is to make your family vacation to the theme parks much easier. And I love that we're branching out to add Universal to that as well, because I know we have a lot of families that do both. So I'm grateful for your knowledge that you guys bring to this because I don't have that knowledge. I have lots of research and I am really good at that, but I don't have the experience to be able to help people with Universal.
Yeah. Well, thanks for letting us talk
Yeah.
about it, because we
He loves to talk about
we
it.
truly love Universal, and I think it gets overlooked a lot in comparison to Disney. Not that Universal isn't thriving and doesn't get
Right,
millions of visitors a year, but I think that the way that you put it is perfect, where it's just under publicized what all it's offering. Yeah, it's got Velocicoaster and it's got the Hulk, but no one really talks about Seuss Landing or any of the shows, right? Like,
Right.
and now with Epic opening up, like, as excited as I am for Epic, like, there's still other offerings in the other parks that people should be aware of.
Right.
And I'm glad that we can share all of the knowledge that we've gained over the years and years of going there. So,
It's great. It's much needed in our Mom Street space because again, we just Kate and I don't never had that knowledge. So we are broadening our horizons as well as our listeners' horizons, which is great. That being said, the next episode that Duck and Jess are with us, we're going to continue this series. We've got at least probably 2 more in this series for now, and then we may put a pin in Universal and circle. We definitely will circle back to it in future episodes. So next episode that we have with Duck and Jess will be again talking more about the attractions, maybe shows if we feel like we can squeeze it all in, but we may have to figure that out as we kind of start these notes. But we do plan to talk about all 3 of the theme parks. So the 2 ones that you've heard us talk about a lot that are already open, and then Epic Universe, which opens literally within like the next week of us recording this right now, which is super exciting. So we're going to be talking about all of those and what they have to offer. And then the thought is the maybe final part of this series will be about food. And maybe we do shows with that depending on how the breakdown looks. But we will cover all of that in the next 2 episodes that we have with Duck and Jess. That being said, we will kind of continue to bounce around with our Mom Street schedule. So the next episode that you've got me solo. And we're going to be revisiting one of my most frequently asked about topics in the Disney universe, and that is lightning lanes. So the next episode of Mom Street that you get is a lightning lane refresher and tips and tricks, and also a Q&A. So that is what's coming next. And then after that, who knows? Because we're going into summer and things are going to get crazy with schedules again. I've got a family trip to Disney coming up in the next couple weeks too. So it's just going to be a lot of fun, random episodes here and there. And we'll see who shows up from week to week. That's kind of where we're going for the next couple weeks until things maybe, and then they won't calm down because it'll be fall and you guys will do your HHN trip and it'll be great.
and then we'll do a trip report, and then I will figure out how to talk about HHN endlessly. I will shoehorn this in. Watch me.
And that will be the last you hear of Duck. No, I'm kidding.
Honestly, fair. I wouldn't blame you.
Yes, yes. So that is what is coming up for Mom Street. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for your support. Thank you for listening. If you are new here, welcome. We're glad you found us. We do cover mostly Disney, but also now Universal when it comes to our topics. So feel free to reach out with any questions that you have. Again, we are here to help you guys. And if you haven't already given us a follow, be sure to do that wherever you're listening to us, whether that be on the Chip and Co feed, whether that be on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, wherever it may be. Make sure you give us a follow. Leave us a comment. We would love to hear from you guys and hear what you guys are loving about, or maybe not liking about. Maybe our
Feedback is welcome.
yes, our current run of episodes. But I think for today, we're going to wrap it at that and leave you with all of the good HHN, Volcano Bay, who, holiday whoozy whatsies, Grinchmas, all of the good things, and Lil Boo, because he's adorable.
Lil Boo says he loves you all. Thanks for listening.
Thank you guys all for watching this episode of Mom Street USA. We appreciate you, and we hope you have a wonderful week, and we will see you all again very soon.
Bye.
Bye.
everyone.